Everything is basically made of cheese. No, this is not clickbait. Genuinely, there is a connection between literally everything and cheese. But first, our story starts with a humble atom. This is an atom. Us, along with every single thing you could possibly think of, is made of them. But how do we get here? And how does this possibly connect to cheese? Well, this model I keep using is called the cloud model. It was invented by a man named Schrödinger. He was an Austrian quantum mechanist, and in 1926 he developed the model we now know and love by discovering that electrons moved in certain trajectories around the nucleus. The prior model was invented by Niels Bohr. It's called the planetary model. It featured electrons around the nucleus, but not on the trajectories that Schrödinger had discovered. What Bohr did discover was the whole thing about electrons moving around the nucleus in different energy levels, rings. But his work was nowhere near the first. In 1907, Ernest Rutherford made a pretty insane discovery. Not to hype him up too much, but Rutherford was a New Zealand chemist and physicist who kinda won a Nobel Prize in chemistry. He's the one who discovered the nucleus of an atom. And he did that by taking a very thin piece of gold and shot positive particles at it. Most of the particles, as expected, just passed right through, but a handful of them got deflected and scattered in different directions. This led him to believe that there was a dense center to the atoms, because if there wasn't, there'd be nothing for the positive particles to bounce off of. By this experiment, the gold foil apparatus, he discovered protons in the nucleus of an atom. But that still doesn't answer how we know what electrons are. Okay, electrons. Well, in the 1890s, a guy called J.J. Thomson created a thing called the cathode ray tube, which is a small vacuum in which he added electrometers to sense electric charges. From there, a high voltage current is applied to the tube, and when you put a negatively charged magnet near it, it repelled, showing him that particles were negative, giving us electrons. He then created a plum pudding model to kind of demonstrate what he thought the atom looked like. But the only reason he was thinking about atoms was because of John Dalton, who had basically started the search for the atom in the old world by going more into depth of combinations of elements like H2O and CO2. In his mind, atoms were like a solid ball. By this point, it should be clear that I've been working backwards, starting with the most recent model and scientists and moving all the way back to the oldest. This is to show that the atom was a progression over time of a bunch of scientists building off of each other and a bunch of ideas being combined to build it up. But I'm still leaving out one major piece of this puzzle. And considering that I've been moving backwards the entire video, then that means this last person is kind of the original founding father of atoms. So, who is this guy? That would be a dude named Democritus. In 400 BC, yes, BC, he was thinking with his buddies, as ancient Greek philosophers do. And he wanted to know what made up everything, like the core things that stuff is made out of. In the end, he decided to call these things, whatever they were, atomos, which is why we call them atoms. But he came to this conclusion by thinking of cheese, yes, cheese, and figuring out that if you took a piece of cheese and kept cutting it in half, then you would eventually get to a point where you couldn't cut the cheese any further, giving us the birth of atoms. So, Cheese and Democritus are the pioneers of the study of atoms. Every study and innovation of our understanding of atoms is all rooted within Democritus. He literally named it. And the same can be said for cheese. It was the exact core of his philosophy, and therefore atoms are rooted in cheese. We, along with everything in the known universe, is made of atoms. Everything is basically just cheese. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, there's like a gazillion other more on YouTube about the topic, like way more in depth too. So yeah, if you like this, don't let this be the end of your quest for knowledge, and go learn something today.